Hi, everybody. Jason Roberts, and I'll start with this. Once upon a time, once upon a time, there was this world-renowned fabric maker. Her name is Anna, and Anna, this is pre-industrial age, and she would make these fabrics by hand that were renowned all throughout the land. People would come from far and wide. All the most wealthy people would pay all the most money for Anna's work because they love the fabrics that she created. And she would do this by hand. Like this is the way that it worked. And sometimes she'd bring other people to help, but they were working with hand looms, and that's how fabrics got created back then. Well, lo and behold, eventually came the Industrial Revolution, and with that came the ability to automatically these big automated looms. And people were like, "What is going to happen? How is Anna going to keep doing her thing?" And she was worried. She was worried about this time that she was facing. And what she decided to do was to get all of her friends together and see how she could make her fabrics, but make them on this big industrial loom that she had. So they did. They all got together. They're in this factory and they're making these things. What ended up happening is that it's not just the wealthy people that could afford Anna's fabrics. Everybody could afford these fabrics. Everybody could buy these things. And people didn't just have one set of clothes, one outfit, because back in the day, it was tough to make the fabric itself. So you only got the one outfit, right? Maybe two. But it was really hard to have new clothing. It was very expensive to create new clothing at that time. So what ended up happening is everybody was able to have these beautiful outfits with and tons of clothes, and Anna's name expanded and blew out through the entire land. What happened is she adapted. She adapted to this world, and what I hear about, this has been the most AI forward conference. It was way more AI forward than I expected when I signed up for this, and I talked to two kinds of recruiters: the kinds that are freaked out about AI and the types that are super energized about it. And I don't see a lot in the middle. I don't see a lot of like let's just wait and see. There's the freaked out people and the like super pumped people. And I think that we will boil down to two different groups in the end. I think that is going to be true. And in our space, and also honestly in the full workforce, I think that we'll end up with people who know how to work with AI and to leverage those tools and the unemployed. I really think that it's going to be necessary in order to be functional and effective in your job in the future. So we all sort of have to learn to adapt. But that said, the things that we can do with this stuff are incredible, incredibly powerful, and we're going to have to change. And in fact, we've had to do this as human beings a bunch of different times. This is our fifth time around this circle. The very first industrial revolution, we had mechanization, steam power, weaving loom that we just talked about with Anna. Now, what changed there is the normal human being at that time, that normal human being could only afford one or two outfits. Now, you should see my closet. It's a mess. Like there's outfits. In fact, there are things being delivered to my house so often that my dining room has become the shipping and receiving room. Now, I'm not much of a clothes person, but there's someone in my household who will remain nameless that has lots of these shipments showing up. And guys, surely some other people have experienced this in their lives. Um, so there's so much more available to us now, and there was right after that first industrial revolution. Now, the other thing that's interesting about that time is that we went from being almost all agrarian to the first moves into cities, and cities was to move with industry, right? So then we shifted into industry two. This is mass production. It's the assembly line, electrical energy. Here's what was crazy about that. Did you know that the concept of a 40-hour work week didn't exist before that time? 1870, you've got Ford in his assembly line. The question was, how much should a person work if they're going to work in this environment? Because they'd all been agrarian. You work sun up to sundown. That was the idea back then. Well, when you're in a factory and you're working the assembly line, how many hours are the right number of hours to work? And they had to make that up. and they came up with the 40-hour work week. It's absolutely wild. So they came up with this. It's also the very first time we had leisure time. So leisure time was a concept that people didn't understand. Vacation was something that people only the very wealthy were able to vacation. And they would vacation for months at a time. But otherwise, little small trips to the beach, things that you and I are accustomed to doing, like the everyday people of the world, that didn't happen as much. But this was the first time we got it, and it was because Henry Ford was like, "We can't have these people work every day. What days do they not work?" And they worked out this the concept of the 40-hour work week. How wild is that? All right, so yeah, yes, Heather, there is leisure time. I promise you, and there's time after kids. Mine are all grown people, so it's I have all sorts of time nowadays. It's awesome. Um, Industry 3, I was around for this one. This was automation, computers, and electronics. Now, when I was a kid, I still remember our family getting our first computer, an IBM PC Junior, and it came loaded with BASIC, had big floppy disk. You could load programs on. You had to code. Well, I think my parents were just cheap, but I had to code my own games. So you get these magazines, computer magazines. Those things would show up, and you would flip through those magazines and see in the back they would have like the actual code for basic programs, and that's how I got games. I would actually enter the basic code by hand, debug that, and then run it through that compiler. And that's how I got to play. It was crazy. So this was computers showed up. I remember my first email that came. I remember when I went to college, people were just getting email, and my friends and I were able to communicate over email for the first time, and it blew our minds. Like we had AOL email addresses. That's how old this was. That's a long time ago. So industry 4, cyber physical systems, the Internet of Things. We've got iPhones. And things are accelerating really quickly. And things are accelerating so fast right now that human beings are having a hard time adapting as fast as the technology is adapting. So here's the one that I point out to people is Uber. So we are just now figuring out the laws for how gig workers should be treated. But now that that's happened, we're already in a place where we need to replace the gig workers with robo taxis. So robo taxis are showing up, and we need a whole new set of rules and laws. And what in the world do we do with robo taxis? So the technology is way faster than human systems are able to adapt to it. And we're doing that again here, another acceleration here with AI. So all of that to say, we've had marked improvements in our lives. We've had better things come in the end as a result of each one of these turns of the wheel. And I, I'm I'm confident. I am optimistic that this is going to be yet another place where we're going to come out ahead. So don't fret. If you're one of the people that gets freaked out, don't be freaked out. This is a huge opportunity. And what I want to spend the rest of this time doing, now that I've convince you that there's some sort of opportunity here. Let's talk about exactly what that opportunity might be for us. So here's the recruiting industry before AI. Manual screening. We're all digging through the giant piles of resumes. Time intensive, hours and hours screening, phone screens, resume reviews, digging through all those things. You may not know it, but you've been using resume sorting techniques for most of your careers. Even job boards will present candidates ranked based on relevance to your role, so that the machine is doing some work for you in order to decide who you ought to look at. That's been happening for most of your careers for you. So that's those machines sorting for us and getting smarter about bringing the most relevant candidates to the top. That's hugely valuable. It saves us a ton of time. There's a limited reach, right? Every once in a while, I'll run into a recruiter who's just killing it, like a sorcerer that's just 10 times more productive than everybody else. And I'll look around at this team and say, why is this one person outproducing everybody else? It's because they actually use the CRM. Now, the percentage of people who actually use a CRM is pretty low. Best in class logins for CRM, 17%. So 17% of the people in a best in class group are logging into their CRM once every 30 days. That's wild. So the people who are leaning into those technologies, the multiplier is really insane. It's 5x. There's a 5x delta between the number of QIAs that a sorcerer who actually uses their tools has versus a sorcerer who doesn't use their tools. And it's because they have limited reach. They can send one email at a time. They can make one call at a time. They can contact one at a time instead of parallel processing. So before machines, before tech, we're slow. We're slow and we're linear. Human beings, our biggest limitation is that we're linear. And in fact, candidates now have superpowers. Um, how many of you have seen spam bots? Just tons of resumes spammed in to your jobs. I saw a stat that there's an average of 120, no, 145 applicants per requisition in 2024 per posted job. Sorry, per posted job, and then that was 21 uh, applications per posted job in 2023. So I think a lot of that has to do with spam bots. Now, the total number of jobs posted has reduced over that time. So we had a really tough year, end of 2023 into 24, where jobs just plummeted. And we've seen a slight recovery starting at the beginning of this year, but it's sort of flattened out to a slight recovery. It's been a mess. So resume spam bots, if there's more people looking for fewer jobs, then what do you do to stand out? Well, there's a concept of volume negates luck. I'm just going to throw as many out there as I possibly can and see how many I can get to hit. Spam bots are there. One that just blew my mind. I think this is ethically horrible. Um, Cheatware. There's a thing called finalroundai.com. Go check this out. It will blow your mind how terrible this is. They've built a stealth mode co-pilot for interviewers, and so say you're doing a coding assessment, you use this thing with it. It writes the code and has it in front of you. But even if you're sharing your screen, it can't be seen. So they've built this thing to just make it a mess. It's terrible. Um, so that's the one that I don't love. I've taken a stab at building one called BetterThing.ai, and I thought candidates needed an assistant. You have to customize your resume for every job. It's a giant pain. Even figuring out which jobs you're a good fit for, candidates aren't great at. So automatically doing that for them, showing them their fit scores, and customizing their resume for the job in an automated way, thought that would be helpful. I built that. I offered this yesterday. Anybody that is a recruiter looking for work, I'll give that to you for free. Just DM me and I'll unlock all that stuff for you if you like. But so candidates have tools. Candidates have AI. That means we at least need to have something. Oh, this is what better thing looks like. We can skip that. And yeah, this is final round. You do not just avoid anybody that you suspect is using this piece of garbage. Avoid that thing. It's terrible. Well, click. There we go. So if you're a recruiter in one of my teams, this is what you look like now. So we've started building out some AI capabilities, and there are a lot of the tools that you see now have these capabilities. And what I want to do is just encourage you to use them all. Use everything you can get your hands on. Use all the tools that you have at your disposal. And these are some of the things that we've built around our recruiters at Cielo. So at Cielo, you don't need to go and into a tool and do a search for market data to have a conversation with a hiring manager. We just deliver that. Like you go to the hiring manager insight. We deliver great quality candidates for calibration and market data right there. Because it's all there. Why would you have to do a search somewhere else? The system should just deliver that for you. You don't need to have built-in reports. You just ask the system hey, why is hiring slowing right now? And the system can pull up the data and say, oh, it looks like your bounce rate on your emails has gone up by X, Y, and Z. Now, some of this stuff we saw in the demo yesterday of the Easy Agent. I got early access, so I've gotten to play with that for a while. It's pretty good. In fact, communicating with that is shockingly fun. So I love the easy agent on Hire Easy, and my recruiters get that too, right? Um, Sourcers used to spend a ton of their time if we didn't have contact information for a candidate, going and hunting down contact information, and you know, it's always on the big list of tools. Oh, this is a free place to go look up contact information. I think it's silly for human beings to do that when we have these big databases that exist. So we just do that for people, right? Um, Writing an email, like writing anything at this point, I just don't want to do. So writing an email to a candidate today, AI should draft that for you, and you shouldn't have to do that draft. That just shouldn't happen anymore. So AI does that for us. Of course, automated matching, bringing the candidates that are a good fit up to the top. Um, then my favorite one is the hiring manager write-ups. So if you got a candidate that's a great fit, I used to spend a ton of time when I would get these candidates writing up, here's why this guy's a great fit for you, right? And I would write this really beautiful thing, and here's the pros and cons of this guy. He's got three things that you asked for, but not all five. And that's a normal thing. Every time you submit a candidate, you do that, and you spend time doing that. Why would we do that? Machines can do that for us, right? So it's all that's sort of what I'm looking at. I think that delivering this kind of thing, going and finding the tools that give you this kind of empowerment, just makes you better at your job. Tony Stark didn't stop being Tony Stark. He just took on a new persona. He became Iron Man because the suit empowered him. The tech empowered him. He was able to do more stuff. And I am a giant nerd, so I love a good Avengers reference. And that's what I think this is. I think that we're able to do so much more. Now, the truth of the matter is that it's a dicey time for recruiters. There's fewer jobs out there. The market is not sure what's going to happen right now with a number of issues that are going on, including AI. And I think if you find a way to be as productive as AI can make you, you set yourself apart, and you can be much better. Not only productive, the AI writes much more robust stuff than my write-ups were. So I think that it's a much better way to do this. So um, yeah, this is where I think we go. I think that we become these AI empowered recruiters. And what's the end result of this thing? We get more accuracy, we get reach, we can reach more people by automating the work that we do. We save a ton of hours that we get as a result of that. We become strategic partners. We're not replaced by robots. We tell the robots what to do. The robots work for us, right? Rob just said talent orchestrator, and that's right. We've become an orchestrator of the work that's being done, and just much more gets to happen all around us. We're able to execute much better. So this is what we can do. I thought it was unfair because I know that there are different people in different places. Like our recruiters get lots of tools, but not everybody here gets all those tools. Your company may not give you a lot of things. You may be on your own independent. You may not have a lot of this stuff. So what I thought would be good is to give you some of your own stuff. Oh, I forgot my takeaways. Takeaways: embrace AI. It's got to happen. Lean on candidate experience. Focus on strategic work. That's it. Okay. Now let's give you some free stuff. Um, I built a little app for you. It's at my site. I have a site called recruitingswag.com where I sell recruiting swag if you ever want that stuff. There's a 100% human t-shirt on there that I think is funny. But at app.recruitingswag.com, this application that's free. Um, I built a hiring manager writer for you. So it looks like this. So if you paste in a job description, paste in a candidate profile or a resume. This is a resume for Clark Kent, speaking of superheroes. It will analyze those things and come back with a really nice little match score, gives pros and cons of the candidate, and then gives a write-up for the hiring manager. Clark Kent is highly qualified, blah, 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 blah. And then you just copy that, drop it into your email, and you're off to the races, right? So that's free for everybody. You do have to log into it just because I wanted to add some save features so you could pull these back up, and you can only save things if I have an account. So um, I'll keep tinkering with this and adding things. I also created an job ad generator, so it'll take that same job description and build a market-facing ad for you if you so desire. But that's at app.recruitingswag.com. That's free for everybody. There's not even a way to charge you money for that built in. So that is in there for you. That's free stuff. The other thing, like I said, if you are a recruiter and you're actively looking for a job, you need new work. BetterThing.ai is built for people looking for jobs. And DM me. I'll give you my personal code. You can unlock the whole thing and use that on your own. All right. Whew. Oh, anybody who wants to catch up with me, LinkedIn's probably easiest, it's fastest, but there you go.